And I'm here to tell you guys this addict, this sister, has such a strong message. It has encouraged me. She's encouraged me for over the past, I believe she's coming up on 21 years shortly. And without further ado, Sharon Shearer, our speaker.
Let me unmute myself. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sharon S. I want to thank.
Sharon, unmute yourself.
Y'all can't hear me?
Unmute yourself.
Can y'all hear me now?
Okay.
Okay. My name is Sharon S. I'm a recovering addict, and I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Beverly, for asking me to be the speaker today. My clean date is 8/21/98, so I have 22 years and several months. Really, really grateful for the opportunity to carry the message of Narcotics Anonymous. It's always a privilege and an honor. I want to kind of be conscientious of the time and give y'all, as much as I can in this short period of time. But I was always told to, qualify myself for my seat in Narcotics Anonymous, and I definitely deserve the seat that I have had for the last 22 years because my story is very much the same as many others. And one of the theme that God really placed in my heart today was the identification. And the identification piece has been crucial for me to stay here. And one of the things I always like to share for the newcomer is that relapse is a reality, but it's not a requirement. And since I've came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous in 1998, I've never seen a reason or found a reason to pick up any drugs again. So relapse is not part of my story, thank God. And so I just wanted to share that hope that, our literature says that we've never seen an addict who lives the Narcotics Anonymous program use. And so I believe in NA. When I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I was firmly convinced coming in the door that I was an addict and that I had a drug problem. And, there's two parts to the first step. And the second part is, not just admitting that I had a problem, but that I needed help. And I bought into this program lock, stock, and barrel out the door, even though, I had some reservations, right? It was like they acted a little bit like a cult. And, I was a little hesitant as to whether or not people was really, really clean. But as I stayed here to stay here, I found that this program really does work if you work it, because this is a 12-step program. And so the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous is what has brought about the transformation in my life. A little, bit about my background. I was born and raised in Cincinnati. My mom had me at 40 years old, so I was a late in life baby. My siblings are a generation older than me. And so my oldest brother now is like 78 years old, and I'm 55. So she had me at 40, and I was raised like an only child. And as a result of, not having anybody to play with, I developed this manipulation technique early in life to try to buy friends and buy people and give them stuff to, try to convince them to play with me or be with me. And my parents kind of, perpetuated that same type of behavior towards me because my father was an alcoholic and our household had a lot of dysfunction. And so what they did was they would give me stuff, material things to try to, alleviate the pain of the dysfunction in our household. And so I acquired that skill set of, buying my way through life, or, giving people stuff to try to compensate for whatever it was that I wanted. And so at the age of around 5, I was molested by a female, and she was the babysitter's adopted daughter. She fondled me and molested me. And one of the things that I didn't realize until my fourth step was that I didn't volunteer. I wasn't a willing participant in what happened. And for a long time, I didn't realize that. I thought that because I didn't tell anybody, because I did not share what was going on under the covers, that somehow I wanted it to happen, or I wanted to participate in it. But I was only 5 years old. And so I didn't really understand that, it was wrong, and that I didn't want to, be a part of that. And what I discovered looking back on my life was I had a secret life. I always had a secret life. It was a secret life, and it was a fantasy life. A lot of the fantasy started with my Barbie dolls, my Barbie doll collection. I used to, pay my friends to play with me with Barbie dolls. If you come over to my house, play with me, I'll give you one of my dolls, because I had, a ridiculous collection. I was thinking back on a lot of different things today, as I was, contemplating what I wanted to share. But I wanted to share the identification. And the identification was I suffer from really low self-esteem. When I was little, kids used to tease me. They said I had big lips, and, my hair fell out when I was a little girl. My sister gave me a real strong relaxer, and my hair fell out, and they called me bald head, big lips, all that kind of stuff. And so it really did affect me. And so as a teenager, when the boys started to pay attention to me, I, gravitated to that because I had been dealing with rejection. And, rejection is a really, really strong, feeling for a child to try to overcome. And so as a teenager, when the boys started showing me attention, which I was seeking, I've always been an attention seeker, and I still, on any given day, still suffer from, seeking attention. I'm, and now I've accepted it as a part of my character, and I try not to let it overpower my personality. But I know that I'm flamboyant. I know that I like to be seen when I walk in a room. I want to be the head turner. But it's okay today, to just be who I am. And so as a little girl, I gave the boys all of my goodies. Any boy that paid me some attention, I gave them all my goodies. It was like an exchange, but I didn't realize that it was really, sick and sad behavior, because I was too young to be having sex. I was married twice before I met my wonderful husband now. I got married really young. I think 19. I got married, was divorced by 21. My first husband was a crack addict, and he's still in the grips of the disease. And my second husband was mentally ill. And I was beaten by both of them. I was abused by both of them. I was cheated on by both of them. And, it was, just, I've had a difficult time of it. So much so that, I wrote a book about it. So I'm a 2-time published author. My first book was really a publishing of my 4th step, is From the Mess to the Message, and it gave me a lot of freedom. It took a long time to birth out, but it gave me a lot of freedom because, as I was working the steps and writing my book, I began to start to understand where a lot of the personality traits had come from and what they were birthed out of. When I was really, really promiscuous and even coming into the rooms and still, desperately looking for love and settling for sex and not understanding why all the men that seemed to gravitate to me didn't have no job, didn't have no money, didn't have no car. And they was always, in my pocket. And through working the steps, I came to realize that I was picking the same type of men. I was always picking men that I could dust off, clean up, dress them up and try to make me a man that would be obligated to stay with me and be with me because I didn't, put some money into them. You know what I'm saying? And so it was the same behavior that I practiced as a little girl. And so little girls do grow up, and so I'm real grateful for the process of recovery and growing up in this process. One of my first sponsors is even on here today, and I'm so grateful for the addict who introduced me to Narcotics Anonymous. I was an entrepreneur. I have been for 25 years. And, I remember this addict came into my salon and, she was like, how you stay so slim? And I'm like, oh, I take diet pills. She was like, well, I can't do that. I'm a recovering addict. I'm like, what's a recovering addict? You know what I'm saying? And because where I come from, I didn't know anything about recovery. I started using recreational drugs in high school. I went to Walnut Hills and all the, little rich kids, got high on the front steps. And I thought it was the end thing to do. And, it became an escape. It helped me to materialize that fantasy that I was seeking and searching, because I was a dreamer. I've always had big dreams and big aspirations. And when they weren't being manifested in my life, I turned to drugs to try to, help me realize those fantasies apart from reality. And so, I remember after my second marriage failed, I made a decision. That I was going to try living on the wild side because I was raised in the church. I was a church girl. Even though I was, an undercover hoe, I was a church girl. So I went to church. I had some foundational morals that had been established in my life. But at the same time, I was still living this double life because I told y'all I always had a secret life. And so after that second marriage fail, I made a decision. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to test the water for real. I'm going to see, what this party life and this street life is like because I never really had lived it. I'd been married straight out of high school twice. And so I went out there and I got exactly what my hand called for. Got hooked up with a dope boy because that's what I wanted, because I wanted that money and I wanted the look. I wanted the glam. Because I had tried the good way. I tried to be the good girl. That didn't work for me. And so, got involved with somebody who, as they say, turned me out on the dope. And, my drug of choice was powder cocaine, and I had a $700 a day habit. And so once again, thinking about the identification, when I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I came in during an era where people were beginning to recover from crack cocaine. And I had never snorted crack cocaine. And I was like, Whitney, I don't do crack. Crack is whack. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was doing the, rich man's high, snorting cocaine. But it still brought me to my knees and had me crawling around on the floor, snorting drywall. You know what I'm saying? So I had to identify with the addicts in the room, even though they weren't people that I got high with. You know what I'm saying? So when I got here and the addict who brought the message, carried the message of recovery to me, told me that she was recovering from crack use, that was huge to me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm grateful today to be able to carry the message of Narcotics Anonymous that, any addict can stop using drugs, lose the desire, and find a new way to live. And so when she told me that she was recovering from crack because that was big to me. That let me know that if she could stop smoking crack, because I had this perception of the crack addict and she didn't look like it. And so that gave me hope. And I went into treatment, and I remember, because I used pretty hard for about 3 years. And that second year, I remember checking out, calling the treatment facility, but then being like, oh, that's too much. They want too much. I can't check in, leave my business and all that. And, going to no treatment facility. See, so we know now that when an addict is really done, when you sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll do what you got to do to stay clean. If you want what we have to offer, you know what I'm saying? You're going to take the suggestions. You're going to take the, you're going to follow the advice and direction of people who have found a new way of life. And so when I was really ready, you know what I'm saying, I went into treatment, and I think I spent 7 or 10 days in recovery in a treatment facility back when Bethesda Oak. I was over there at Bethesda Oak, and then I learned about H&I and all of that, and I tried the other fellowship because that was what they were, really basing their program off of. But when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I got that true identification with, the low places that the dope took me to. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I always thought I was a little intellectual. And so I thank God for, the fact that we differ in levels of sickness and rate of recovery. And I say that to say that everybody's story just ain't the same, right? So thank God I had enough sense left to be able to comprehend this program, believe in it, buy into it wholeheartedly, get a sponsor who had a sponsor, begin to work the steps, and begin to see a transformation take place in my life. And I one of the things that I always suffered from was feeling like the eyeball, feeling like I didn't fit in, feeling like, nobody really understood me. People just didn't get me. And on any given day, I still suffer from that, and I thank God for my husband, because we both have that in common, right? And so we get each other, and thank God for having that one person, you know what I'm saying? Even though, my sponsor understands where I come from and stuff like that, but, just feeling like, you don't really, fit inside of that circle of people, but then knowing that I fit in that circle of people, you know what I'm saying? And that my seat is my seat, and I can choose to identify with the similarities and not the differences, and so the similarities are, that once I pick up, I can't stop using no matter what. One is too many and 1,000 is never enough. And it's a vicious cycle that began way before the dope ever got a hold of me. I had a problem, and, I'm just so grateful to have the God of my understanding that now I have a new relationship with, right? That's not full of the dogma of the church, because I was raised, like I told you, in the church, but the church, had a lot of rules and regulations and a lot of dogma that did not allow me to really fully embrace what they were trying to, give me. So coming into NA and developing a relationship with a God of my understanding that's loving and caring and forgiving and accepting, allowed me to reintroduce myself. You know what I'm saying? And I was reintroduced to a new relationship with the God of my understanding that took me places I never imagined, never saw myself in the pulpit as a pastor, as an ordained minister, never saw myself as a foreign missionary, building churches out of the country, never saw myself, speaking. I used to think, why come I'm not speaking on the circuit in NA, which I did a little bit of, but I was called to another place where my voice is more prevalent. And that's okay, because, God has a plan for all of us. I just have to continue to identify with the fact that I'm an addict seeking recovery, and that, I have to still do what I did in the beginning to stay clean. And that's, don't use no matter what, meetings, meeting makers make it, I might have had a overly, zealous attitude towards keeping the dope far from me, right? People thought I was like really overboard about stuff like that, right? I would be like, oh, you can't drink in my house, can't smoke in my house, you can't do this, oh, you using, I got to go. My husband will tell you when I met him, and he, I'm not gonna try to tell his story, but he was using, and I told somebody, I said, oh, I can't fool with you because you take me too close to the dope. You know what I'm saying? And eventually he got clean and we were able to be together. But the thing I'm trying to say is that I had a healthy fear of the dope, right? And I believe 22 and a half years later that's why I'm still clean today, because I got a healthy fear of the dope. Because I don't know if it did to you what it did to me, but it exhausted me. It tried to kill me. I mean, I was homicidal and suicidal on the dope. I did things against my own will, whatever it took to get one more. And even if it, I might not have dumpster dived or whatever, but I went to my own rock bottoms. And so as a result of working the steps and getting here and having a sponsor and, having to change sponsors, a few times, you know what I'm saying? Because my recovery is my responsibility, but the point I'm trying to make is continue to hold on to that identification, even when recovery brought me so many blessings, so many lost dreams were awakened, stuff that I didn't see coming. I didn't see national TV coming. I didn't see 17 appearances on national TV. I didn't see, being flown all over the country and being in 5-star hotels and all of this. I didn't see becoming a celebrity. I didn't know all of that was going to come with recovery. And it came at the beginning of my recovery and I wasn't equipped for it, So I isolated myself within the fellowship because I was so, conceited and my head was so big and my ego was so out of control because I didn't even know how to manage it. I didn't realize, that I came off a certain way, but that's because I had created this facade. The weed master was my defense mechanism. She was able to, deal with a lot of stuff that Sharon just couldn't handle yet. So I put on a arrogance and a defense mechanism because I really was scared if you got to know me that you was gonna reject me and that you ain't want to be with me, you ain't want to be my friend. Because my whole life, all I ever wanted was to be accepted. My whole life, that's all I ever wanted was to be accepted. And so I had to put up a mask in case you rejected me. Even today, you know what I'm saying? I'm still desiring the acceptance and the love of the fellowship. I told my husband this morning, I said, I can preach to the nations, but when it comes to Narcotics Anonymous, I be shaking in my boots because I want y'all to love and accept me so bad. But what I learned in this process is to gravitate to the people that gravitate to you. And so that's what I've done. I start gravitating to the people that gravitate to me. And I'm so grateful for my sponsees. I'm so grateful for the people that's been on this journey with me. I'm so grateful for the people in this home group. This is my second home group. Yeah, I got 2. I'm grateful for my other home group, for y'all having enough faith in me to carry the message. Whew. Talk about lost dreams, being in a monogamous marriage with a man who treat me like a queen, who put me first, who want me to have the best, who sacrifice himself so that I can be his shining star. I thought that was a fantasy. I believed that it could happen. You know what I'm saying? But I just didn't believe it could happen for me. But I'm living that dream today because of Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous is the reason why I have a happy marriage. Because of the work that I was able to do on myself. Because when I get better, everything around me gets better. I can allow my husband to have his own process of recovery. Getting married to a man that had 5 months and I had 5 years, they counted us out. But God, when God is the glue, I'm still, attention seeker. That's why I bought that Bentley. I didn't know that it was going to come with that much attention. I didn't know people was going to be stopping me in the street and chasing my car and, videotaping me and all that. But you know what? I deserve it. There's no limits. I serve a God that is limitless. The God I serve is limitless. And Narcotics Anonymous is a limitless program. I'm not just talking about material stuff. I'm talking about the freedom. The freedom to allow me to just be me. It's okay. It's okay to just be me, to love myself today. It's been a process, man. I'm still in the process, but I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming no matter what. One thing for sure, 2 things for certain. Just for the day, I ain't going to pick up no dope. 23 years I'm coming up on. I'm planning on meeting that mark. I love y'all so much. I'm just crying and rambling now, so I'm going to stop. I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to share. Thank you. I'm Sharon S.